36 8-ounce bottles and 24 1-pound bottles that I bottled in probably less than 10 minutes. I mean, no time at all to get this much done, which is awesome.
All right, everybody, we made it to June. So here it is, Saturday, June 1st, right at 10 o'clock in the morning, 70 degrees and 64%. And even though the humidity is kind of moderate, it definitely feels more humid than the temperature and humidity gauge would indicate. So if you didn't catch last month's video or late May's video, the honey harvest saga continues. So in fact, I'm about to walk out to the yard, get these 5 supers added back to a few of the colonies, and rinse and repeat. I'm just gonna keep pulling 4 or 5 at a time. That seems to work pretty well. Harvest them and get them back on the boxes or on the hives until I am finished. This is a pure projection, but I'm thinking if I can get 10 buckets this year, I would be pretty happy at that. That would definitely make me happy. More's better, right? But if I can hit at least 10, I might shoot a few more clips of harvesting. I haven't done that too much just yet, but that's how June is starting, which is fantastic. A lot of hard work to get colonies to survive the winter, to take care of them, to treat them for mites, to feed them when appropriate earlier in the year, and then you really just hope for the best throughout April and May, which is really our prime nectar flow. I am making a point to get the boxes, the wet boxes, back on the hives just in case there's any little bit of a flow, or if there's an uptick, who knows. And if I can pull even more honey from hives that I previously harvested, that would be fantastic. All right, let's get to it.
All right, hey, here we are for day 2. So yesterday's numbers, I ended up pulling 12 supers, and the total weight at the end of the day or night was 192.5 pounds. So pretty darn good. I have 7 supers here that are ready to go, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of the process, and that'll be it. Having uncapped the frames with the knife, the cold knife, this year for the really first time on my own, my mentor helped me in 2018 harvest my first honey. Having done this, or doing this now, it makes me wonder how much, if any, honey I've left on the hives when I was using just the needle roller. So the previous few years I would just use this, mainly because I didn't have an uncapping tank, and I was trying to minimize the amount of wax that I produced, because I didn't have a way to capture the honey that comes out when you're uncapping frames with a cold knife. So it just makes me kind of wonder how much honey I left in the frames for that reason. That side's pretty dry, but yeah, that's nice.
All right, it's about 3:45 and I just finished up with these 7 supers. It took me a little longer than expected, plus I had some errands to run in between harvesting and spending some honey. So yesterday pulled 12 plus these 7, that's up to 19 with about a handful to go still. So I'm just gonna get these strapped down to the garden cart, back out to the yard, add them back to the hives I pulled them from, and pull a few more to harvest this evening. So far it's been a pretty good year. I'm up to 6 full buckets. So if I can get to 10, that'd be pretty cool. Keeping my fingers crossed, but completely satisfied with 6 so far. And I know we have quite a bit of more honey still in the hives. Plus maybe something for next weekend. I'm real curious to go through all the hives, mainly to conduct a quick inspection and then really get down into the deep boxes, into the brood chambers, because I know there's quite a few, maybe at least 6 deeps, full food frames. So if I can find 6 that are completely full, that's another bucket for the year. All right, let me get this thing situated and get them back on the hives, and I'll show you a few clips, but it's just a matter of doing the same thing and until I'm done. I don't know what's going on with the bees and the weather, but it is extremely busy. Well, busier than usual. All right, I got the 7 supers re-added to the colonies I took them from this morning, and down here at number 7. Plan on taking the 2 supers from this one. 18, I just added that, so I'm not worried about that one. The 2 from 9, the 1 from 10, and the 1 from 8. So what is that? Or actually 1 from 10, I think I said that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. And I might be done. Sometimes you just never know what you're gonna discover. So down here at 7, left the fume board on for 5 minutes, came back, and I was really surprised to see there was a lot of bees still in the top super. Got down into the bottom super just to take a quick look and just to see how that's looking like. And I found this. There is there's something going on, and in fact there's another frame, I think this one here, that had or has eggs in the cells. Maybe not that side, I saw them somewhere. So this side, yeah, and there's a queen excluder down here. So at some point, I'm assuming a queen moved up in the top boxes here. So I'm still gonna attempt to pull the top super. I'm gonna pull each frame, brush it off, and use the hive butler. It does not look like the second super has much. I'll still take a look and show y'all, but this is very interesting. Definitely something to look into. All right, I'm finishing things up. I decided not to pull, I think it's hive number 8, the very last colony. I decided not to pull their super after looking at it. They have 3 or 4 frames that are halfway decent, but considering I'm gonna go through all the hives next weekend with two ideas in mind: inspection, and then since I'm in the deep boxes, the brood chambers, pull any deep frames that are complete food stores. I think I said that a few times, but I just wanted to show you this. If you have any doubt whether or not a fume board works with honey robber or any other of the products, number 8 reacted to this stuff in a major way. Check this out. This has been the case with a few colonies. A few colonies have not really reacted to the honey robber at all, and then some colonies ends up looking like this. I just wanted to share that with you. All right, so I have, I'd say I pulled two supers, and then I used the hive butler, so kind of 3, and then I have another one, so at least 4 plus a few extra frames. It's like 4.5. So I'm gonna get those extracted, harvest, and ideally if I can get those back onto these colonies tonight, that'd be great. If not, I'll just let that roll until tomorrow. All right, folks, so it is just shy of 7:30 and I am officially done. I think the total count was 23 supers. Some were 9 frames, some were 10 frames. I don't know the total frame count, but once I get these 3 boxes and the 10 or 12 frames from one of the hives, once I get them back, add it back to the colonies, I'm going to go through and weigh all the buckets. Keeping in mind a 5-gallon bucket with a lid, the internet says it weighs 2 to 3 pounds. I'll subtract 3 pounds just to be generous, and then give y'all a grand total of the harvest so far. The reason I say so far is because we still have the month of June, and June provides sometimes. So I'll give you an update now, and then I'll give you an update towards the end of the month if I end up pulling any more supers, and then we'll kind of see what 2025 turns out to be. But let me get these boxes at it, kind of chasing the last little bit of remaining daylight. All right, folks, you guessed it.
It is time
To start bottling some honey. We just got back from Disney and I'm still stuck in partial Disney mode. The Lion King comes to mind. I am always very excited for this time of year, but this year I am extra excited due to all the equipment we've purchased, which has absolutely made harvesting honey 10 times more efficient, between the uncapping tank, the extractor, and I'll show you the bottler here in a second. Well, the heated bottling tank and the bottler. And that is exactly why I am as excited as I am, because it is time to use Hilco's Speed Fill. I'll show you a few presets, how I have it set it up for the M1, M2, M3, and M4 preset. But first, let's check out the tank. So I turned this on about maybe 2.5 hours ago to 100 degrees, and I'll show you here in a second with the thermometer, but no kidding, it is dialed in and right on point at 100 degrees. And warm honey, I mean, it smells absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about some temperatures and everything right now, right? So I'm obviously inside the shed, I'm not going to talk about the outside temperature, but until about 3 hours ago, the shed was 107 degrees and about 20% humidity. Since there's no need to run both dehumidifiers on continuous anymore, I shifted them both over to 50%, opened all the doors and windows for the better part of maybe 30 minutes, put both box fans facing outside to serve as exhaust fans, and it already dropped the temperature in here about 20 degrees. So it's about 85, which in comparison to 107 feels absolutely fantastic. So I measured the honey's temperature in the buckets, even in the very warm environment like I just described, and it was about 78 to maybe 80 degrees. So in the heated bottling tank, just increasing it 20 degrees, it is a lot more thin. It should flow extremely well through the hose, which in fact, I wanted to share that with everybody. So as you can see, I have not opened up the flange just yet. So I'm gonna show that with y'all, or share it with y'all, get this thing up and running. Like I may have said before, I have checked and double checked the presets, the trigger weight for the bottles. I believe in my mind that thing is set up and programmed in accordance with the directions, so hopefully we don't have any accidents. But yeah, all I have to do is open up the flange, turn on the bottler, push and hold the silver button, and the pump will activate and it will start sucking from the reservoir. And if that doesn't work, there's other directions to prime the pump to help it out. So let's just see if the honey is thin enough, which I believe it is, and based how the tank is set up, which is also in the directions, or maybe one of Hilco's videos, they suggested to have the bottling tank lower than the bottler, which it is. So
let's get to it.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the rag that's over the spout, or it's like an inlet. This is where you fill up the tank with your water, and then that's obviously your water gauge. So the reason I have the rag on there is I found out the hard way, which it probably could or should be in Hilco's directions on their website. So I filled up the tank with, it took about 5.5 gallons of water. The website says like 5 3/4, but it's close enough, right? Plus you have the water gauge, so you can't go wrong as long as you're paying attention. So I filled it up first, and then I started filling the tank up with honey. And I found out the hard way that as I started filling the tank up with more and more honey, I'm assuming through displacement perhaps, I had a little bit of an overflow issue, not much, but I was thinking maybe it might be worthwhile folks to know about that, and Hilco could probably update their website that says to something like to fill the tank up with water after you have your honey already in it. So that just crossed my mind. I meant to share it earlier and totally forgot, but that's why I have the rags, just to keep it clean. And shout out to Vivor. This is one of their stainless steel tables. It's a 24 by 24 by 24. Bought it straight off their site for maybe $85, and it's actually pretty nice quality. So really happy with that. I just wanted a way to keep everything very clean in case there's any spillage, which if you've ever extracted honey, you know you're gonna have some spillage here and there. But anyway, way too much talking. Let's get to bottling. One last thing before we get started, I just wanted to share this with you to show y'all it's pretty darn precise. So the temp gauge says 100.5, 100.5 degrees, and keep in mind this is at the very top of the tank, but it is jacketed, so in theory all the honey should be the same temperature. And yeah, no kidding, I mean that's a pretty precise eating element. Very satisfied with that. Good job, Hilco. Well, I don't know about you, but that was pretty darn exciting. All right, let's get to it. We just got done bottling an entire case in probably less than 5 minutes. And that's right, folks. Jennifer has made her debut appearance on camera handling honey. A little Star, my handy helper, but more importantly, old Jenny Pants. Got you suckered out here to help. All right, hey, welcome back everybody, and welcome to a very rainy Thursday, June 5th afternoon. So it's just about 4 o'clock, back in the shed because I am still not done processing honey or wax, which is actually what I'm planning on doing today. So that box over my shoulder is a wax press that I bought off Amazon for about $105. It just came in the mail this afternoon. Jennifer was so kind to open it up. It looks like it came with some kind of bonus item, or maybe a misship, who knows. Let me get this thing out of the box, get it set up, get it assembled, which I don't really think there's much to it. I need to figure out how I want to do this. I've been thinking about putting a piece of plywood across the uncapping tank, setting this on top of that piece of plywood, obviously putting the wax in it and pressing it. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on that idea. I don't want to really damage the uncapping tank at all, so I might get it set up, put it on the counter with maybe some cardboard underneath so things don't get sticky and messy, or too sticky and too messy, and then just kind of figure out how I want to capture the honey, which currently, as I'm looking past the camera, I might just stack 2 5-gallon buckets on top of each other to get the height close enough to the wax press to capture the honey so it doesn't have to fall too far. But first, let me go back to what I was saying, get this thing assembled, set up, and then I'll kind of I'll show you the configuration I'm gonna go with. All right, presto. Really not much to it all. Pulled this out of the bag, removed some bubble wrap and everything. This piece basically fits between the two handles. That's your press or pressure plate. So I'm gonna grab some wax, add it down in here, and then I will show you all how this thing works. I just spent some time cleaning it up, but yeah, we are ready to go. Not much to it at all. I decided to remove the hose on the bottle filling machine since I'm waiting on some bottles to come in, and also waiting for the rest of the honey to drain out of the bucket that was from the hose from the bottling machine. And this is what I decided to do regarding the wax press configuration. So I ended up lowering the uncapping table just a little bit to make it easier to work. And this is a 2x20, I believe. I used to make some stairs, not that that matters. But I have the wax press machine set up here. It actually just works out pretty nicely. I'm gonna press the wax, let it run through the 300 micron sieve, and once the honey is done draining from that bucket, take that bucket with the two other sieves and place it over here. And the reason I'm doing that, the reason I'm being really particular to get this bucket as empty as possible, is because I'm very curious, have been very curious, and the day has finally come that I can, you know, itch that curiosity. I'm real curious how much wax is still left in all the cappings. I may or may not weigh the wax once I'm done. Just put it in a 5-gallon bucket and then weigh the bucket, of course, minus the 3 pounds for the bucket weight. Same thing with the honey. So maybe I'll finish this portion of the video, the honey harvest portion of early June's video, by getting all the wax done, all the wax pressed, and then sharing how much honey I was able to capture out of however much wax I'm ended up with. First time doing any of this, first time using a wax press, first time really trying to capture as much honey as possible, so we'll see how this goes, and I'll share anything worthwhile as I discover it. Alright, well, it's just a matter of pressing some wax. Alright, well, as you all saw and know, this is the first run. I have the plate almost down to here, and I'll let you know a few things I've already learned. One, fill it up as much as possible. I filled it up to maybe here. It really didn't start getting difficult. Some resistance until it was almost compressed, but it might not look like a lot now as far as honey, but there is still some in there, some residual honey in the wax. I still have a lot to process, so it could accumulate. I mean, even if it is a quarter of a bucket, and with my current honey prices, a quarter of a bucket, I mean, that could be another $300 worth of honey. So stay tuned and we'll see how much we get. I don't know if I'm going to get all this done today because you have to wait for the honey to seep out of the wax. I'm going to give it maybe 10 minutes. So this might be a multi-day process, but I'll let you all know how it goes. All right, round 2 looks a lot different than round 1. Round 1, I obviously did not know what I was doing.
This time I crammed as much wax into the press as possible, and it looks like if I do that maybe one more time, 2 at the most, I should be done. The first lesson I learned was cram as much as possible. The second lesson I already learned is because how much you compress the wax, or how much the wax gets compressed, it is pretty difficult to clean out. But as soon as you get down all the way to the bottom on one side, you can really start prying the wax out. It's just a matter of getting down to the bottom of the press before you can actually really start to pull some of the compressed wax cappings out. Okay, I'll share something here in a little bit. That is a noticeable change from last time. So I'm about halfway down, and that seems like a decent amount of honey coming out of this wax in comparison to the first batch. So overall, I'm impressed. Very simple tool to use, not much to it, just all mechanical. And yeah, I mean, it just gives you an opportunity and an option to try and get any residual honey that's in your cappings. All right, here we are at the moment of truth. So I'm all done. All those cappings in the tank, it took me about 3 rounds in the wax press. The first round, I didn't fill it up as much. The second round, I filled it up as much as possible, which made it pretty difficult. And then the third round, there was about maybe 3/4 of wax in the press. So just a quick look at the tank. It is empty. The last little bit is filtering or straining through the hop spider. It produced, or all those cappings produced, about a full 5-gallon bucket's worth. And as you can see, I have not drained any wax out of the tank. So let's do it together, and I'll show you once it gets done just how much honey was in the cappings. That's a pretty nice flow. So again, it's already gone through the hop spider. So I'm doing the straining in reverse first compared to yesterday. So yeah, I'll just let this run, drain, and then I'll show you how much ends up in the bucket. All right, so it's wrapping up. It's pretty much coming to a slow drip, if you want to call it that. And I know this may not come up, but there's about a full gallon in there. And quite frankly, that surprises me. I did not think there was a gallon's worth of residual honey in all the cappings, but apparently there was. And if you happen to be selling your honey for about $20 a pound, that equates to $240 worth of honey I was able to extract from the cappings. And again, with tax and everything all in, that wax press was, I think, like $110 on Amazon. So in one use, it paid for itself. Pretty cool. All right, hey, that's it for me. Stay tuned for the rest of early June's video, and we'll see what that looks like over the next few days. All right, welcome back, everybody. So it is Friday, June 6th, just after 1 p.m., 84 degrees and 68%, and I am about to get into the yard with the intentions of going through all the hives for a few reasons. One, really just a quick assessment, quick inspection, a quick re-baseline in the HiveTrax app. Two, I know at least a week or two ago, some hives had a deep frame or two, fully capped, awesome food store that I plan on harvesting. And I guess the third reason is I pulled all the honey from the hives in the supers last weekend over Saturday and Sunday, or maybe Friday and Saturday, over a 2-day period, got the supers back on the hives. So they've been on for about a week now. And local beekeepers have been reporting a noticeable increase in nectar coming in due to, the suspicion is the mimosa tree and the crepe myrtles that are in bloom, amongst a few other things. So considering the supers have been back on the hives for a full week, I'm real curious to see how much work the bees have done with restoring the comb, and or how much nectar
or honey they have brought in and started to cure. So let me get suited up, smoker lit, grab the hive butler in preparation of pulling a few deeps, and let's see how the hives are looking and if I can walk away with the last bit of any sort of honey harvest for the spring. Check out the yard. Hopefully y'all can hear this too, but I mean, it sounds like early spring. This might be a real good time of year. Hopefully June provides like it could or should. Let's check out the front of the entrances before I get started. Wow. That is a busy yard, which really makes me happy. So no changes from what I explained earlier. I'm gonna try and go through all the hives within an hour or so and just do a quick assessment of the honey supers, but primarily get into the brood boxes, the deep boxes, for the two reasons of inspection purposes, just quick assessment of the brood, mainly looking for eggs, and then also if I can pull a deep frame or two. If I can pull a deep frame from half of the hives, I would be completely happy with that, which would easily fill the hive butler. And if both sides, if it's a true full frame, if both sides are full, I mean, that's 8 to 10 pounds per frame. So potentially another 100 pounds, give or take, at least another bucket, maybe a bucket and a half. So I do have a few things I'm trying to do today, so I might be moving pretty quickly. I'm just trying to look around and look at the tree lines for swarms, but I don't see any. But yeah, I'll share anything interesting if I discover it, but my intentions today are going to be moving pretty quickly so I can try to accommodate another request here in a few hours. All right, down here at number 2, and what I want to share is this is the hive that I determined last time, which was I think around May 30th. They became queenless. I brought this frame over from another colony, that's why I mark it with a little slash. And in the last week or so, just on this side, they've developed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 queen cells, 6, 7, 8 on this side. So that's what I was really hoping for by introducing a frame that contained very young eggs and young larvae. I want to show you this next frame real quick. I haven't looked at it yet myself, but I have the top bar marked with a few arrows to indicate where they had queen cells about a week or so ago. It looks like those queen cells have been torn down in the meantime, which means possibly we have a virgin queen. And the reason I say that is because there's no signs they're queen right just yet in the form of eggs. So that's number 2. And again, it's been less than 10 days, which is it was my expectation to not see much of a change this time. I'd be surprised if I did, but we should see something next week. Next weekend is when I am anticipating to find eggs, if not an unmarked queen of some sort. So I'm just gonna give them another week, and then again, hopefully see the change. If not, just try to get them healthy one more time before shifting gears and just coming up with a different plan. I'm down here at number 18 already. I've been moving pretty fast. This is in fact the first queen that I caged. The only reason I caged her is I jumped straight to frame number 3, which is where she was at. And since I wanted to go through the rest of the box, I just wanted to cage her real quick so she was safe. All right, down here at number 8, the bees are still semi-agitated, but I just wanted to show you all this. So I decided not to pull the frames from number 8 because it looked like they could have benefited from another week. And obviously that was the case. So it's not an entire super, but it's at least 4 frames from what it looks like. So I'm just gonna brush the bees off, pull the 4 frames, put them in the hive butler, finish up with number 3, and that's it for today. Overall, I'd say the hives are looking good.
3 that were in the process of becoming queen right last week. That's still occurring, so I'm just going to give them another week and then check on them then. But yeah, check this out. What an awesome view. I mean, they are extremely busy for early June. Hopefully there's still a little bit of a nectar flow going on, which is keeping them occupied, but we'll see over the next few weeks if they bring in any food into the recently harvested frames. All right, it's just after 3:30. I am all done. I ended up pulling, I switched all the numbers to the backs. Now I can't even tell you what they are right now. I pulled a deep from this one. That's an indicator they're going through the requeening process. I pulled a deep. I know that's number 3 because I just finished it with them and they're pretty darn aggressive. And then I pulled, as y'all saw, about five mediums from number 8. So overall not bad, and considering that's all I really have to do, the Hive Butler is a fantastic tool. Check them out. It makes situations like this real easy. You don't have to carry any boxes, mediums or deeps, uncovered from your bee yard to wherever you're going. You can just put them in the Hive Butler and you're all set. But considering I think there's only maybe 7 frames, I'm just gonna get them uncapped, spun, and then the plan is to have them back on the hives by this evening, whether that's before or after dinner, which usually happens around 5 o'clock. So I have an hour and a half to get them harvested and back in the hives if that's what I want to do. So yeah, and one deep one side of one deep is practically the equivalent to about 3 mediums, give or take, maybe 2 mediums. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me get to it. I'll show you a few clips and that's it for today. All right, welcome back everybody. So it is Monday, June 9th, right at 6 p.m. and I am out here in the shed to get some serious bottling done tonight. So right on schedule, the Carolina heat is here, and the reason I say that is because it is a comfortable 96 degrees in the shed and 48% humidity. So it's a little warm. So my Man Lake order arrived today to the tune of 575 8-ounce bottles, about 1,000 lids, give or take, 1,000 or maybe 1,200, and 290 1-pound bottles. So I set a few aside earlier just to make things a little easier. Got some lids, and I think this is about 50 8-ounce bottles and 25 16-ounce bottles. So about to crack open the flange valve, let the honey flow, but I just wanted to show you this here first. I ended up dialing down the temperature over here to 90. I had it set to 100. I figured that really wasn't necessary. I actually dialed it down to 90 about 2 days ago, and I think because of how warm it is in the shed, the honey in the tank, it reduced from 100, but it's been at 92.5 degrees ever since I changed the temperature down to 90. So it's probably not going to see 90 just because of how warm it is, but between 92.5 and 100, not a world of difference. I imagine the honey's going to flow just as easy as it did last week when I got some of these bottled and some 24-ounce bottles done, which was super quick. I didn't time it. Well, I didn't time bottling a case, but each bottle took about 10 seconds for the honey to flow into it. Say another few seconds to put the lid on. I'd say maybe 15 seconds a bottle, and a case having 12, easily less than 3 minutes to complete a case of 1.5 bottles. I'm very impressed with this thing. Let me get some stuff set up and prepped, and then I'll show you some clips as I bottle well, 75 bottles here soon. Excuse the background noise, but like I said, it's 93 degrees in here now, so it has cooled down a little. I have quite a few 8-ounce bottles to go, and I figured let's have some fun. So I'm gonna set I'm gonna set a 30-second timer. I'm not gonna move any faster than I have been. I'm just gonna grab a bottle, place it down, let the machine fill it up, grab a cap, put it on, and do the next one. But I am curious to see how many bottles I can do in a 30-second period. So as soon as I put the bottle down, I'm just gonna hit start and let's see. Oh, also the fill machine, I have it set to 33%, if you can believe it or not. Surprisingly, even at 33% on the speed, it fills pretty darn fast. So 30 seconds, let's give it a shot. Start. So, 1. All right, so about 4, so 8 bottles a minute. I'd say that's pretty fast. It feels fast, at least. I am extremely impressed with Hilco's speed fill, and this is the most recent model, which I think has larger gears. That may be the only thing that they modified. And also, if you can see it or not over here, I'll move the camera in a second. But if you can see it, yeah, now you can. This little arm is something they came out with within the last month or so. It's just a 3D printed placement arm. It's adjustable, but besides having the ability to increase or lower the neck, you can also move this adjustment arm back and forth, depending on the bottle, of course. And it saves you some time, because you don't have to worry about lining the bottle up every single time underneath the neck, right? So I mean, every single time it's placed in the same spot, which just saves you time. And if you're filling a few hundred bottles, a second here and a second there, as you can imagine, that adds up. So kudos to Hilco and their innovations, because this thing is awesome, as you can imagine. For the last eight years, I guess, I've been bottling all my honey just with the typical 5-gallon bucket with a honey gate, usually in the living room, or I'm sorry, usually in the dining room. And it is a slow process. It's just as satisfying, if you can believe it or not, but it is a slow process. And given this year's harvest and offering folks a few different size options here, 8 ounce, 16 ounce, and a few 24 ounce bottles, I mean, this is like just time well spent out here in the shed filling all these bottles. All right, I just wanted to share that with you, make it interesting, just to kind of figure out the fill rate. So 4 and 30 seconds, and as y'all saw, there was like some delays with reaching for another bottle or reaching for a lid, or sometimes maybe one of those 4 lids didn't really align just right. So I'm sure if I kind of rushed it along, I could probably fill more than 4 in 30 seconds or 8 per minute, but I just wanted to show y'all just a real world test. Just not really rushing, not moving too slow, but this has been my pace out here this evening, and it seems to work. I mean, it gets some bottling done, that's for sure. Check this out. I don't have a total count, but that is a full bucket of honey right there, between the 8 ounces over there and the 1 pounders over here.